My name is Ilara Whitman, and I've been the family embarrassment since I was 23. That's when I got pregnant during my senior year at Brighton Ridge University. The father, a grad student I'd been dating for 8 months, wanted nothing to do with fatherhood. He transferred to a program on the East Coast and never looked back. I had my daughter Noelle 3 weeks after graduation. No job lined up, no partner, no plan beyond survival. My family's reaction was immediate and unforgiving. My father, Howard Whitman, is a successful commercial real estate developer. He'd built a portfolio of office buildings and retail centers across Northern California, creating generational wealth for our family. Success, image, and reputation were everything to him. My pregnancy was a stain on all three. "You've humiliated us," he said when I told him. "What will people think?" My mother Marianne was gentler but equally disappointed. "Oh, Ilara, you had such potential. Now what will you do?" My older sister Celeste was the harshest. "You're so selfish. You've embarrassed the entire family. Don't expect us to bail you out of your mess." Celeste was the golden child, married to a successful attorney, living in a beautiful house in Silverbrook Cove, throwing elegant dinner parties. She'd done everything right. And she never let me forget I'd done everything wrong. So I did what I had to do. I handled it alone. I moved into a tiny one-bedroom apartment in Westmere Heights, got a job as a paralegal at a personal injury law firm, and raised Noelle on my own. My salary was $47,800. After rent, childcare, and basic expenses, I had maybe $210 a month left over. For 12 years I struggled. I worked overtime whenever I could. I took freelance document review projects on weekends. I learned to make every dollar stretch impossibly far, and I stayed away from family events. It was easier than dealing with the judgment, the comparing, the constant reminder that I'd failed their expectations. But here's what they didn't know. I was building something. During those late nights doing review, I started noticing patterns. Insurance companies would settle certain types of cases for far more than they were worth. Attorneys would miss key precedents that could win cases. I developed an instinct for what made cases valuable. When Noelle was 5, I took the LSAT, scored 169, top 1% nationally. When she was 6, I enrolled in law school at Harborstone Law, a night program I could manage while working full-time. My boss at the firm agreed to flexible hours if I'd continue doing document review. For 3 years I worked 40 hours a week, went to school 20 hours a week, and raised a daughter. I slept 4 hours a night. I lived on coffee and determination. My family didn't know I was in law school. They thought I was still just a paralegal with a kid barely scraping by. When Noelle was 9, I graduated law school. Passed the California bar exam on my first attempt. Got hired as an associate at a plaintiff's personal injury firm. My starting salary was $126,000. Within 2 years, I'd made junior partner. I was excellent at trial work. Juries loved me, and I had a gift for making complex medical testimony accessible. My settlements were consistently above market averages. By the time Noelle was 12, my earnings were $472,000 annually. But I still lived in that one-bedroom apartment in Westmere Heights. Still drove my 2011 Honda Accord. Still dressed from Target and discount outlets. Still looked like the struggling single mom my family expected me to be. Why? Because I was saving everything, investing everything, building something bigger. I'd been putting 60% of my income into investments, index funds, real estate, carefully selected stocks. I'd paid cash for a duplex in Ashford Glen and rented out both units for positive cash flow. I'd bought a small commercial property in Linden Park that housed 3 retail tenants. By Noelle's 13th birthday last year, my net worth was $3.05 million. And my family still thought I was a struggling paralegal who'd ruined her life with an unplanned pregnancy. I never corrected them because their judgment had become fuel. Every dismissive comment, every pitying look, every time Celeste talked about her perfect life while implying mine was a disaster, it motivated me to work harder, save more, build bigger. But there was something else I was building. A surprise for Noelle. 3 years ago, I discovered Seabrook Haven Resort in Crescent Bay was for sale. It was a boutique property, 44 rooms, private beach access, restaurant, spa. The property had been neglected by its previous owners and was on the market for $19.4 million. I'd driven past it dozens of times over the years, dreaming about owning something so beautiful. So I did something crazy. Bought it. Well, not entirely on my own. I partnered with 2 other investors, a retired hotel executive and a real estate developer, who each put in $6.5 million. I put in $6.4 million of my own capital, taking out a significant loan against my other properties to make it work. We bought Seabrook Haven Resort in January 2022, spent $4.3 million renovating it, reopened it 8 months later as a boutique luxury destination. By 2024, the property was worth $33 million. My 1/3 ownership stake was worth approximately $11 million. I was the managing partner and effectively ran the resort, made all major decisions, set policy, hired staff, built the brand, and my family had no idea. Running a resort while practicing law and raising a teenager should have been impossible. Somehow I made it work. I'd been promoted to senior partner at my law firm, which gave me more control over my schedule. I'd take depositions and do court appearances 3 days a week, then spend 2 days at the resort handling management issues. Noelle, now 14, was thriving. She went to a good public school in Briarwood Hills. We'd quietly moved to a nice 3-bedroom house. I bought it cash, but I never mentioned it to family. She was on the debate team, played volleyball, got straight A's. She was also the reason I kept my success hidden. I didn't want her to become a weapon my family used against me. Oh, so now you have money, but you still denied your daughter a proper family growing up. I wanted to protect her from their judgment, their expectations, their ability to make everything about them. But I was also building something for her. The house in Briarwood Hills would be hers someday. One of the rental properties was already in a trust for her college education, and my share of the resort would eventually transfer to her. Security I'd never had. Opportunity I'd fought for alone. My typical week looked like this. Monday, court in downtown Redmont City. Depositions until 6 p.m. Home for dinner with Noelle. Work on resort finances until midnight. Tuesday, settlement negotiations all day. Conference call with resort managers at 7 p.m. Review booking reports and revenue projections. Wednesday, at the resort all day, meeting with staff, reviewing operations, handling guest issues, meeting with my partners. Thursday, more court trial prep. Evening at home with Noelle, helping with homework. Friday, at the resort, often staying overnight in the owner's suite with Noelle, treating it like a mini vacation while still overseeing operations. Weekends split between family time with Noelle and resort management. I was exhausted constantly, but I was also successful beyond anything I'd imagined at 23 when I held newborn Noelle and wondered how I'd survive. To my family, my typical week was whatever Ilara does with her paralegal job and her kid. They'd stopped asking about my life years ago. When I showed up to the occasional family event, maybe 3 times a year, they'd make polite small talk, then return to discussing Celeste's latest vacation or my father's newest property acquisition. I'd become invisible, which was exactly what I wanted until my father's 60th birthday invitation arrived. The invitation came in early November. It was formal, expensive, thick cardstock with gold embossing, the kind of invitation Celeste would design. You are cordially invited to celebrate Howard Whitman's 60th birthday. December 15, 2024. 7 p.m. Seabrook Haven Resort, Crescent Bay. Black tie. Adults only. No +1s for single parents. RSVP by November 30th. I stared at that line. No +1s for single parents. That meant me. That specifically excluded Noelle. I called Celeste, who'd organized the party. Hey, Celeste, got Dad's invitation. I wanted to clarify something. Ilara, yes, we're so excited. Dad specifically wanted it at Seabrook Haven. It's supposed to be beautiful now after the renovation. Yeah, about that. The invitation says no +1s for single parents. It means we want a sophisticated adult evening. No kids. I know that's hard for you since you're always dealing with childcare drama, but this is Dad's night. Noelle is 14. She doesn't run around. She'd sit quietly. Ilara, it's a black tie event. Adults only. Surely you can find a babysitter for one evening. Or is that too difficult for your situation? I felt something cold settle in my chest. By situation, you know what I mean. Single mom, limited resources. If you can't afford a babysitter, I'm sure Mom would pay for one. We just don't need your childcare drama at Dad's party. I see. So you'll RSVP? Yes. I'll think about it. Ilara, it's Dad's 60th birthday. You have to come. Even if it means dealing with your complications. Hung up. That evening I sat with Noelle at our kitchen table. They don't want you at Grandpa's party, I told her. The invitation specifically excludes you. Noelle shrugged. She'd learned young not to expect much from my family. It's fine, Mom. I can stay with Paige that night. It's not fine. You're his granddaughter. You should be included. They've never really included me before. Why would they start now? That broke my heart. Here's the thing, I said carefully. The party is at Seabrook Haven Resort. That's that pretty place in Crescent Bay you take me to sometimes, right? Yes. That pretty place you always say feels like home. Yes. And I own 1/3 of it. Her eyes went wide. Wait. You own part of the resort where Grandpa's party is? I'm the managing partner. Does Aunt Celeste know? Nobody knows. Well, my business partners know, but family know. Are you going to tell them? I thought about 12 years of judgment. Thought about Celeste's condescending tone. Thought about the invitation specifically excluding my daughter from a party at a resort I owned. Not yet, I said. But I'm going to do something better. Over the next 3 weeks I prepared. First, I RSVP'd yes to the party. Just me. No +1, exactly as Celeste requested. Second, I coordinated with my resort managers. December 15th, the Whitman party. I need you to handle something for me. I explained what I wanted. My general manager, Nathan Brooks, smiled slowly. That's deliciously petty, Ms. Whitman. I love it. It's not petty, I said. It's educational. Third, I made arrangements for Noelle. How would you like to spend the evening of December 15th in the presidential suite at Seabrook Haven Resort? Room service, movies, the works. Her eyes lit up. Seriously? Seriously? You can't come to the party. You're not invited. But you can stay at the resort. It's technically your property too, since it'll be yours someday. Mom, she said laughing, this is the best revenge. It's not revenge, I told her. It's clarity. Fourth, I bought a dress. Not from a discount store this time. From a boutique in Laurel Crest Hills. A stunning black evening gown that cost $3,750. Designer heels. Professional hair and makeup. If I was going to stop being invisible, I was going to do it properly. Finally, I met with my business partners to discuss strategy. You sure about this? Asked Margaret Hale, the retired hotel executive. Going public with your ownership at a family event could get messy. It's already messy, I said. They're throwing a party at my resort while excluding my daughter and treating me like I'm too poor to afford a babysitter. Then let's make sure the reveal is spectacular, said Daniel Cho, the real estate developer. Nathan has the logistics covered. Every detail. On the evening of December 15th, I dropped Noelle at the resort's presidential suite at 5 p.m. She had room service menus, streaming services, and instructions to call me if she needed anything. Have fun at Grandpa's party, she said, grinning. I'll be here enjoying the suite you own. Technically, we own it together. Even better. I went to prepare myself, hair and makeup at the resort spa. Changed into my $3,750 dress. Looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. I looked expensive, successful, powerful. I looked like someone who owned a luxury resort, not someone who'd been dismissed as a struggling single parent. At 7 p.m., I walked into the resort's main ballroom where my father's party was being held. The ballroom was stunning. Celeste had clearly spared no expense. Flowers everywhere, elegant table settings, a live band, waiters circulating with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. About 60 guests were there. Family, my father's business associates, friends from their country club. Everyone was dressed immaculately. I entered quietly, took a glass of champagne from a passing waiter, and scanned the room. Celeste saw me first. Her eyes widened slightly, surprise at my appearance, though she hid it quickly. "Ilara, you came. And you look nice." "Thank you. Where did you get that dress?" "A boutique in Laurel Crest Hills." "That must have cost a fortune." "It did." My mother approached, kissing my cheek. "Ilara, darling, you look lovely. I'm so glad you could make it. Was it difficult finding childcare?" "It worked out." My father was holding court near the bar, surrounded by business associates. When he saw me, he waved me over. "Ilara, my youngest daughter," he said. "She's a paralegal in Northern California." He said it with the tone people use when trying to put a positive spin on disappointment. I smiled and shook hands with his associates, letting them make assumptions about my modest career and difficult life as a single parent. Dinner was served at 8 p.m. I was seated at a table with some of Celeste's friends and their husbands. Successful couples who talked about their recent trips to Europe, their children's private schools, their investment properties. They asked me politely what I did. "Legal work," I said. "And some real estate investing." "Oh," one woman said in a tone that meant the opposite. "That must be challenging." "Celeste mentioned you're raising your daughter alone," another said. "That must be so hard." "It has its challenges." "I can't imagine," she said. "We have 2 nannies and I still feel overwhelmed. How do you manage on a paralegal salary?" Before I could answer, Celeste stood and clinked her glass for attention. "Everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight to celebrate my father's 60th birthday," she said. "Dad, we love you so much." She went on talking about his success, his generosity, his vision. Everyone applauded. Then she added, "Dad specifically chose Seabrook Haven Resort for this celebration because he appreciates excellence. This resort recently underwent a complete renovation and is now one of the premier boutique properties in Crescent Bay. It's exactly the kind of sophisticated venue that reflects Dad's taste and success." More applause. I sipped my champagne and waited. Dinner continued. The main course was served. Filet mignon and lobster tail. The wine flowed. Conversation buzzed. Around 9 p.m., Nathan Brooks, my general manager, approached the table where my father and Celeste were sitting with family members and business associates. I watched from across the room. "Excuse me, Mr. Whitman," Nathan said politely. "I'm Nathan Brooks, the general manager. I'm sorry to interrupt your celebration, but we have a situation." My father looked annoyed. "What kind of situation?" he asked. "The owner of Seabrook Haven Resort has requested that your party relocate to a different area of the property." Complete silence at the table. "What?" Celeste's voice was sharp. "That's absurd. We booked this ballroom months ago. We have a contract." "Yes, ma'am," Nathan said calmly. "However, the owner has certain rights regarding property usage. She's requesting you move to the terrace area, which is quite lovely." "Absolutely not," my father said, his face reddening. "We paid for this ballroom. We're staying in this ballroom. This is unacceptable." "I understand your frustration, sir," Nathan said. "But the owner is quite firm on this matter." "Then get the owner here now," my father demanded, standing up. "I want to speak to whoever thinks they can disrupt my birthday celebration." Nathan smiled politely. "The owner is here, sir. She's currently in the presidential suite with her daughter. Shall I request she come down?" "Yes, immediately." "Very well, sir. I'll let Ms. Whitman know you'd like to speak with her." I watched my father's face go through several expressions. Confusion, then recognition, then disbelief. Ms. Whitman, he repeated. Officer Ilara Whitman. She's the managing partner and majority decision-maker for Seabrook Haven Resort, Nathan said evenly. She's been here all evening, actually. Would you like me to bring her to you, or would you prefer to go to her? Celeste had gone pale. Ilara owns this resort, she whispered. 1/3 ownership, ma'am, Nathan replied, along with 2 other partners. But as managing partner, she handles all operational decisions, including venue usage. My mother stood up abruptly. There must be some mistake. No mistake, ma'am, Nathan said. Ms. Whitman and her partners purchased Seabrook Haven Resort in January 2022, completed a $4.3 million renovation, and reopened it 8 months later. Under her management, the property value has increased from $19.4 million to approximately $33 million. She's been quite successful. The entire ballroom had gone quiet. Everyone was listening. I stood up from my table and walked toward where my family was sitting. "Hi, Dad," I said calmly. "Happy birthday." He stared at me. "You own this place?" he asked. 1/3 of it. "Yes," I said. "With 2 partners. I'm the managing partner, which means I handle day-to-day operations and make final decisions on property usage." Celeste finally found her voice. "How?" she asked. "How is this possible? You're a paralegal." "Actually, I'm a senior partner at Rowan & Pierce Personal Injury Law. I make about $472,000 a year. I've been investing heavily in real estate for years. My net worth is approximately $3.05 million, not counting my share of this resort, which is worth about $11 million. My mother sat down heavily. $3 million, she whispered. "Give or take," I said. "The exact number fluctuates with the market." "But you live in Westmere Heights," she said. "You drive an old car. You dress from discount stores." "Actually," I said calmly, "I live in a 3-bedroom house in Briarwood Hills that I paid cash for. And this dress is Valenci. Cost $3,750. I just chose to live modestly while building wealth." I looked around the table. "Funny how none of you ever asked about my actual life. You just assumed I was struggling because that fit the narrative you wanted." My father finally spoke again. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because you didn't want to know," I said. "You wanted me to be the daughter who messed up, who got pregnant too young, who ruined her potential. That version of me made you more comfortable. Especially you," I said, turning to Celeste. "That's not true," she started. "Your invitation said no +1s for single parents," I said. "And you told me you didn't need my childcare drama at a party at my resort where my daughter, your niece, was specifically excluded." "We didn't know you owned it," she said weakly. "You shouldn't have needed to know," I replied. "You should have treated me with respect anyway. You should have included Noelle. You should have stopped judging me for choices I made 14 years ago." The room was completely silent now. Even the band had stopped playing. "So here's what's going to happen," I continued. "You can finish your dinner. You can have cake. You can celebrate Dad's birthday. But it's going to be on my terms. My property. With my rules." "Ilara, please," my mother said quietly. "We didn't mean to hurt you." "Yes, you did," I said. "For 12 years, you treated me like a cautionary tale. Like someone to be pitied and dismissed. And I let you. 'Cause I was busy building something real. But I'm done being invisible." I turned to Nathan. "Actually, we don't need to relocate them," I said. "They can stay in the ballroom. But I want every bill tonight sent to me. Dinner, drinks, all of it. I'm treating." Celeste's face turned red. "We can pay for our own party." "No," I said. "This is my gift to Dad. A party at my resort, paid for by the daughter you thought was broke." I turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Celeste," I added. "Noelle is upstairs in the presidential suite. She's having a wonderful evening with room service and movies. Because even though you excluded her from the party, she's still welcome at her mother's resort. She's family here. even if she's not family to you. I walked out of the ballroom, leaving 60 stunned guests and one devastated family behind. I went upstairs to the presidential suite where Noelle was watching a movie and eating a burger from room service. "How'd it go?" she asked, grinning. "I think I just destroyed several family relationships." "Good," she said. "They deserved it." "Maybe," I said. "But it still feels weird." My phone started ringing immediately. I declined the call. Celeste called. Declined. Then my mother. Declined. Over the next hour I got 22 calls from various family members. I answered none of them. Instead, Noelle and I sat on the suite's balcony overlooking the ocean, eating ice cream sundaes from room service. "Mom," Noelle said quietly, "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For showing them who you really are. For not letting them make you feel small anymore." "Thanks, baby. And for building all this while raising me alone," she added. "I know that was hard. You made it worth it." Around midnight there was a knock on the suite door. I checked the peephole, then opened it. My father stood there. "Can we talk?" he asked. "I'd like to talk to both of you if that's okay." I let him in. Noelle paused her movie. He looked around the suite, taking in the ocean views, the separate living area, the luxury finishes. Easily the most expensive room in the resort. "This is beautiful," he said quietly. "Thank you," I said. "We designed it during the renovation." He sat in the chair opposite us. He looked older, tired. "Ilara," he said, "I owe you an apology. Actually, I owe you many apologies. 12 years worth." "Dad." "No," he said gently. "Let me say this. When you got pregnant at 23, I was angry. I was embarrassed. I felt like you'd ruined the image I'd built for our family. Successful, polished, perfect. So I made you feel ashamed for something that shouldn't have been shameful. For having a baby. For raising her alone when her father abandoned her. For surviving. For building a life anyway." Noelle watched him quietly. "And Noelle," he continued, turning to her, "I owe you an apology too. You're my granddaughter. And I kept you at a distance because you reminded me of my own failures as a father. Your mom didn't fail. I did. And I'm sorry." "Thank you for saying that," I said carefully. "But it doesn't change 12 years. "I know," he said. "But maybe it can change the next 12 years. If you'll let it." "What about Celeste?" I asked. "What about Mom? What about everyone downstairs who spent years pitying me?" "Celeste is devastated," my father said. "She realized tonight that her entire sense of success was built on comparing herself to you. To the version of you she created in her head. Learning that you're actually more successful than she is. It shook her." "And your mother?" I asked. "She's crying in the bathroom," he said quietly. "She realizes she failed you. We all did. What do you want from me, Dad?" I asked. "A chance," he said. "A chance to rebuild this. To know you, the real you. To know Noelle. To be a real family instead of a performance." I looked at Noelle. I shrugged. "Your call, Mom." I thought about 12 years of being dismissed. 12 years of invisibility. 12 years of carrying everything alone while building something extraordinary. "Okay," I said finally. "But on my terms." "Of course. No more assumptions about my life," I continued. "No more comparing me to Celeste. No more excluding Noelle. And no more treating me like I'm someone who needs to be fixed or rescued." "Agreed," he said immediately. "And you tell everyone downstairs the truth," I added. "That I own this resort. That I built a successful career. That I did all of this while raising an incredible daughter. No more hiding my success because it makes you uncomfortable." "I'll tell them tonight," he said. "Before we leave." "Good." He stood to go, then paused. "For what it's worth, Ilara," he said. "I'm proud of you. I should have said it 12 years ago. You're the strongest person in this family. You always have been." After he left, Noelle looked at me. "Do you believe him?" "I think he believes it right now," I said. "Whether it lasts, we'll see." "Are you glad you did this?" she asked. The big reveal. Thought about it. "Yes," I said. "I'm tired of being invisible. Tired of letting them make me feel small. I built something real. They should know it." "You built something amazing," Noelle said. "And you did it while raising me." "That's pretty strong language," I said, smiling. But true. The rest of the party continued without me. According to a text from my cousin Julian, who found the whole thing hilarious, my father did make an announcement. He told the guests that Seabrook Haven Resort was owned in part by me, that I'd built a successful law career and real estate portfolio, and that he was proud of my accomplishments. Celeste apparently left early. My mother stayed but looked shell-shocked. Over the next month, my family slowly came to terms with reality. My mother called weekly, wanting to really get to know me. We started having lunch monthly, just the two of us. She asked about my work, my investments, my life. And she listened to my answers. Celeste took longer. 3 weeks after the party, she sent a long email. "Ilara, I've spent weeks processing what happened at Dad's party. At first I was humiliated. Everyone knows now that you're more successful than I am. Then I was angry, at you for hiding it and at myself for not seeing it. But mostly I've realized I was jealous. When you got pregnant I felt superior. Like I'd done everything right and you'd messed up. I've held on to that feeling for 12 years because it made me feel better about my own insecurities. The truth is, you're brilliant. You took a situation that could have destroyed you and used it as fuel to build something incredible. You raised an amazing daughter while building a career and a real estate portfolio. You're stronger and smarter than I'll ever be. I'm sorry for 12 years of dismissiveness. For the invitation. For treating you like you were less than me. You were never less. You were always more. Can we start over? Celeste." I wrote back. "We can try." Noelle's relationship with her grandparents transformed. They started coming to her volleyball games. My father took her to dinner monthly and actually asked about her life. My mother helped her with college application planning. They were learning to be grandparents 12 years late, but they were finally showing up. The most meaningful change was in how I saw myself. For 12 years, I built my success in secret, afraid visibility would invite judgment. I let my family's perception of me as a struggling single mom define how I showed up in the world. But I wasn't struggling. I wasn't a failure. I wasn't someone who needed to be pitied or rescued. I was Ilara Whitman, attorney, investor, resort owner, and a single mother who built something extraordinary while raising an incredible daughter. And I wasn't hiding anymore.